Welcome, the anointed ones. Be still and know that I am God. This ancient scripture isn't just a comforting phrase, it's a warning. To your enemies it means, sit tight. Watch what happens when you mess with one of my chosen ones. Here's an uncomfortable truth. The universe has a scoreboard and God never loses. The people who schemed against you thought they were clever. They whispered lies, sabotaged your growth, and convinced themselves you were an easy target. But here's the plot twist. God allowed them to dig their own graves while thinking they were digging yours. Did you know that 90% of self-sabotage is caused by overconfidence? Funny, isn't it? Your enemies were so sure of their victory they forgot one small detail. They weren't fighting you. They were fighting the divine. And trust me, that's not a battle they're equipped to win. So sit back, chosen ones. God's about to make an example out of your enemies and you don't even have to lift a finger. This is the kind of plot twist that makes blockbuster movies look predictable. Number 1. God's justice will be so precise, even your enemies will recognize it. When God moves, it's not chaotic or random. It's deliberate and precise. His justice isn't fueled by anger or revenge, but by truth and clarity. Your enemies thought they could manipulate the narrative, twist the truth and hide behind their lies. They thought their actions would remain concealed, their schemes untraceable. But God's justice doesn't work like that. It doesn't just expose wrongs, it reveals the full picture, making it impossible to deny what's happening. The precision of God's justice means that every consequence aligns perfectly with the actions that caused it. Your enemies won't be able to call it coincidence or bad luck. The way events unfold will be so exact, so detailed, that even the most skeptical hearts will have to admit it's not the work of man. It's the hand of God, moving with purpose and leaving no room for doubt. This isn't about humiliation or vengeance. It's about accountability and revelation. God's justice has a way of making people confront their actions, their choices, and their intentions in a way they can't escape. Your enemies won't just face the consequences of what they've done. They'll understand why it's happening. And that understanding will be undeniable. The most powerful part? You won't have to lift a finger or speak a word. The truth will speak for itself. God will handle it all, ensuring that every act of injustice against you is addressed with precision. In the end, even those who doubted his power will be forced to acknowledge it. This isn't about you proving anything. It's about God showing the world that his justice is unmatched, unrelenting, and ultimately undeniable. Number 2. God will use their pride to crumble them publicly. Pride has a way of blinding people, making them believe they're invincible. Your enemies moved against you with confidence, thinking they were untouchable. They laughed, they schemed, and they celebrated your supposed downfall before it even happened. But pride is a dangerous thing. It's the very trap they walked into without realizing. God, in his wisdom, let them build their plans on their ego, knowing it would all come crashing down in a way they couldn't ignore. Here's the truth about pride. It overestimates strength and underestimates consequences. Your enemies were so focused on proving themselves right, so caught up in their own narratives, that they didn't see the storm brewing against them. They were writing checks their souls couldn't cash, and now payment is due. The very things they used to attack you, their words, actions, and intentions, are turning against them. God is allowing their pride to lead them straight into a public reckoning. This isn't just karma, it's divine justice. And the most humbling part for them will be the way their downfall is undeniable. They'll have no one to blame but themselves. The arrogance they flaunted will become their undoing, and the spotlight they sought will illuminate their failures instead. They wanted to make a spectacle of you, but God is using their pride to make a spectacle of them. The beauty in all this? You don't need to say a word. Their own actions are speaking loud enough. God's justice doesn't need your input. He's handling it with precision. And as their pride crumbles, they'll be left with no choice but to face the truth, that the power they mocked in you wasn't yours alone. It was God's all along, and his authority cannot be challenged. Number 3. The kingdom you carry is built on divine authority. Your enemies never understood the magnitude of what they were up against. To them, you looked like an ordinary person. someone they could manipulate, control, or even destroy. They saw your calmness and humility as weakness. They thought your quiet strength meant you lacked power. What they failed to realize is that the kingdom you carry is not of this world. It's built on divine authority. You don't walk alone. You walk with a purpose, a calling, and the backing of something far greater than anything they could comprehend. When they moved against you, they weren't just challenging you, they were challenging the force behind you. That's a battle no human can win. God allowed them to believe they were in control, but every step they took against you was only strengthening the foundation of what He is building in your life. Their attacks were never going to destroy you. They were only going to prove the strength of the kingdom you carry. The authority of your kingdom doesn't rely on their approval, and it isn't shaken by their schemes. It stands firm because it's rooted in a higher power. Every time they tried to sabotage you, they were unknowingly aligning themselves for failure. They didn't realize they were fighting a battle they had already lost. Now the truth is becoming clear. The kingdom they tried to mute is thriving. The influence they sought to suppress is expanding. And the authority they doubted is undeniable. Your enemies will soon see that their efforts only highlighted your resilience and God's sovereignty. What they thought was their victory was just part of God's plan to make His power known through you. This is what happens when divine authority is at work. It cannot be touched, no matter how hard they try. Number 4, your silence was a weapon. They underestimated. Your silence wasn't weakness, it was strategy. While your enemies plotted, schemed, and hurled their attacks, you chose not to respond. That decision, as simple as it seemed, was powerful. Your silence confused them. They expected you to react, to fight back, to engage in the chaos they created, but you didn't, and that left them vulnerable. Without your reaction to fuel their plans, they exposed themselves. They became louder, sloppier, and more obvious in their intentions. What they didn't realize was that silence isn't empty. It's full of meaning. It's a space where God works, where the unseen forces begin to shift in your favor. Every insult they threw, every lie they told, was only adding weight to their own downfall. You didn't have to retaliate because their own words and actions became the evidence against them. Silence is also a mirror. It forces people to see their reflection, and your enemies couldn't handle what they saw. They wanted you to react because it would have distracted from their own flaws and failures. But instead, they were left with their own chaos, and it consumed them. God let them think they had the upper hand because He was setting them up for a lesson they wouldn't forget. Now the tables are turning. The silence they mocked is becoming their downfall. The wisdom of your restraint will be revealed for all to see. And the truth about their actions will come to light. They underestimated you because they thought silence was weakness, but the reality is, it was strength. And now, the same silence that left them confused is about to leave them completely undone. Number 5. The trap they set for you will become their own demise. The irony of God's justice is that it often turns the plans of the wicked back onto themselves. Your enemies, so eager to see you fall, went to great lengths to set traps, weave lies, and orchestrate chaos. They thought they were clever, believing their plans were airtight. But what they didn't understand is that God sees all, and His timing is always perfect. The very pit they dug for you will now become their downfall, and they won't see it coming until it's too late. The traps they set were never about you. They were a reflection of their own fears, insecurities, and darkness. They believed they could outsmart destiny, manipulate outcomes, and destroy what God was building in you. But God, in His divine wisdom, allowed them to continue, not because He was absent, but because He was setting the stage for their own undoing. The beauty of divine justice is its poetic symmetry. The lies they told about you will now circle back to expose them. The alliances they formed against you will crumble under the weight of mistrust. The chaos they tried to unleash on your life will consume their own. And through it all, you won't have to say a word or lift a finger. God's hand is already at work, turning their plans into lessons they'll never forget. What they intended for harm will only serve as proof of God's power in your life. Their own actions will testify against them, leaving no room for excuses or denial. In the end, their schemes will not only fail, but will also highlight the strength, resilience, and favor God has placed on you. Their demise will be the ultimate example of how no weapon formed against you can prosper. Number 6. God is allowing their mockery to amplify their embarrassment. When your enemies mocked you, they thought they were safe. They laughed behind your back, spread lies about you, and dismissed your value as if their words held power over your destiny. But God doesn't ignore mockery, He uses it. He allowed their laughter to grow louder, not to break you, but to set the stage for their downfall. Every cruel word they spoke, every smirk they wore, was adding weight to their own reckoning. Mockery is a fragile weapon. It relies on arrogance, assuming the one being mocked will remain low while the mocker rises higher. But arrogance blinds people to reality. What your enemies didn't see was that their mockery was only building anticipation for what God was about to do in your life. They didn't realize their gossip was echoing in the heavens, where plans were already in motion to reverse everything they thought they controlled. God is never in a rush, and He never misses a detail. He let them mock because He knew their words would soon testify against them. When His justice comes, it doesn't just correct wrongs, it magnifies the truth. The same mouths that laughed at you will be silenced. The same people who undermined you will be forced to watch your rise. And they won't be able to hide from the embarrassment of their own actions. Their fall won't just be personal, it will be public. The louder they mocked, the more undeniable their humiliation will be. God allowed them to laugh because He's preparing to show them, and everyone else, that He was always in control. What they thought was their victory will become the ultimate demonstration of His power and your divine protection. Number 7. Your enemies were necessary for your elevation. It's hard to see it in the moment, but your enemies played a crucial role in your journey. Without their challenges, you might have stayed comfortable, unaware of the full extent of your strength and purpose. God didn't bring them into your life to destroy you. He allowed their presence to sharpen you, to prepare you for what was coming. Their betrayal wasn't a setback. It was the catalyst that pushed you toward your destiny. Every attack they launched forced you to dig deeper. You learned to rely not on people but on God. You uncovered resilience you didn't know you had, wisdom you hadn't yet tapped into, and a faith that could weather any storm. Their actions may have hurt, but they also exposed the cracks in your foundation, giving you the chance to rebuild stronger, smarter, and unshakable. God uses everything, even the malice of your enemies, to work for your good. Their attempts to pull you down only pushed you closer to Him, where your true strength lies. And as they tried to block your path, God turned their obstacles into stepping stones. Every scheme, every betrayal, every moment of pain became part of the process that elevated you. In hindsight, their presence in your life was not a curse, but a necessity. They revealed who you are, who you're meant to be, and just how unstoppable you are when God is guiding your steps. They thought they were hindering you, but they were actually refining you. Now, as you step into the fullness of your purpose, it's clear that your enemies were never in control. They were tools in the hands of a divine plan designed to take you higher. Number 8. God is setting the stage for a public victory. The struggles you faced weren't hidden for a reason. God allowed the challenges, the betrayals, and the injustice to unfold in plain sight. Why? Because the victory He's preparing for you isn't meant to be private. The same audience that watched you suffer, doubted you, and maybe even joined in the ridicule, will also witness your triumph. God doesn't just restore quietly. He ensures His work is undeniable and unforgettable. The public nature of your battle wasn't to humiliate you, but to set the stage. Your pain, your perseverance, and your silence in the face of injustice weren't overlooked. They were part of a story far bigger than what you could see at the time. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt was weaving together a narrative that only God could orchestrate. And now, as the story unfolds, it's clear that the pain had a purpose. When God moves in your life, it's not subtle. He's about to take what was meant to harm you and turn it into a testimony that echoes far beyond your circle. The same people who mocked you, dismissed you, or wrote you off will have no choice but to acknowledge the hand of God in your life. Your vindication will be so clear, so precise, that it will silence every doubt and every whisper against you. This isn't about revenge, it's about revelation. God's public victory for you will serve as a reminder to everyone that His justice is real, His timing is perfect, and His favor is unstoppable. Your story will stand as proof that no matter how dark it seemed, the light was always coming, and when it arrived, it couldn't be ignored. Number 9. Their plans weren't against you. They were against God. The truth that your enemies failed to see is that their battle wasn't really with you. It was with God. They may have thought they were targeting you because you were an easy target, an obstacle to be removed, or simply someone they could control. But in reality, they were challenging something far more powerful than themselves. Their attacks weren't personal, they were spiritual. They were waging a war against the hand of God, who had placed His favor and protection over you. What they didn't understand is that God doesn't just watch from a distance when His chosen ones are attacked. He doesn't sit idly by while His people suffer. When they came for you, they unknowingly crossed a line. They were messing with divine authority, and now they must face the consequences of that misstep. The Creator, who commands all things in heaven and on earth, doesn't take lightly to anyone rising up against His chosen. It wasn't about you alone. It was about God's plan for your life. Their schemes, their hatred, their manipulation, they all directly confronted the power that called you into your purpose. Now they must reckon with that power. God is not passive when it comes to defending those He has set apart. The battle is His, and the victory will be His. Now they will see that no weapon formed against you can prosper, because God's defense is impenetrable. They must answer to the Creator for the role they played in trying to disrupt His will. Their fight was never against you. It was against the one who created you, the one who watches over you with unrelenting power and purpose. And now they will experience firsthand just how mighty His protection truly is. Number 10. God will humble them by making them witness your rise. The most painful consequence your enemies will face isn't that they'll fall, it's that they'll have to watch you rise. God's way of humbling those who've plotted against you isn't just by letting them fall into their own traps. It's by giving them a front row seat to your elevation. As God continues to bless you, their envy will grow sharper, and they'll realize too late that they underestimated you in the worst way. There's something uniquely devastating about witnessing someone you once doubted or tried to bring down thrive. Their eyes will be forced to watch you step into the very future they thought they'd stolen from you. As God opens doors for you, their bitterness will be amplified by their inability to stop what's already unfolding. They may have thought you were finished, but they'll soon see that your story is just getting started, and it's a story they will never be able to erase. The real sting of their envy will come from the fact that their attempts to destroy you have only contributed to your growth. Every obstacle they threw your way will have served as a stepping stone to a higher purpose, and they'll be left with nothing but regret. As your success becomes undeniable, they'll wish they had never crossed you. Your rise will be a constant reminder to them of the mistake they made in underestimating the power and resilience of God's chosen ones. In the end, their greatest punishment won't be their downfall. It'll be the fact that they have to watch you soar, knowing they could never touch the destiny God has ordained for you. The higher you climb, the deeper their regret will go, and that, perhaps, will be the sweetest justice of all. Number 11. They tried to mute you, but God made you unstoppable. Every time your enemies tried to mute you, to stifle your voice, or to diminish your presence, they only made your light shine even brighter. They thought they could silence you by spreading lies, cutting you off, or attempting to tarnish your reputation. But what they didn't realize is that God doesn't just allow you to overcome adversity. He uses it to amplify your influence. Every attempt to suppress you, every attempt to erase your worth has only served to fuel your fire. When they thought they had buried you, God was planting you. When they tried to snuff out your flame, He fanned it into an uncontrollable blaze. The more they attacked you, the stronger you became, and the more undeniable your presence became to the world. The darkness they tried to impose on you only made your light more radiant. God has a way of taking what was meant to break you and turning it into the very thing that propels you to new heights. Their sabotage has now become the reason you stand out. The more they tried to undermine your influence, the more the universe aligned to give you a platform that cannot be erased. God has turned every negative whisper into a trumpet of triumph. You are now unstoppable. No matter what they do, no matter how hard they try to cut you down, you are built to rise higher. In their efforts to silence you, they've only amplified your voice. In their attempts to diminish your value, they've only highlighted it. God is showing them and the world that His chosen ones cannot be contained. You were never meant to be silenced. You were meant to stand tall, shine bright, and make an impact that can't be ignored. Number 12. You won't need to say a word. Your victory will speak for itself. There's a unique power in letting your success do the talking. When God is on your side, you won't have to defend yourself, explain your journey, or try to justify your position. The way your life unfolds, the way your blessings manifest, will speak louder than any words you could ever say. Your victory will be so undeniable that even the most vocal critics will be left speechless. People who have doubted you, belittled you, or tried to tear you down will soon realize that their words carry no weight against the force of divine justice. Your actions, your growth, your unwavering rise will leave no room for doubt about whose hand is guiding you. When God works in your life, it's not a matter of convincing anyone. It's a matter of letting the results do the talking. Every challenge you overcame, every battle you fought will be visible in the way your life transforms. It will be clear that this isn't just a lucky streak, it's the undeniable hand of God. The victories you experience will make the noise of your enemies irrelevant. When God's justice unfolds, it doesn't need a spokesperson. Your success will speak volumes. There's a special kind of peace in knowing that you don't need to argue, explain, or prove anything. Your success, your peace, and your rise will be proof enough of what God has done in your life. So while they continue to talk, try to undermine or question your journey, you'll be too busy winning, too busy living out the results of divine favor, to even notice. Your victory is the final word, and no one can take that from you. In the end, the battle wasn't really about you versus your enemies. It was about God's plan being revealed through your life. Every attempt to diminish you, to stop you, or to make you feel small has only served as a catalyst for your elevation. God doesn't just allow His chosen ones to rise. He makes sure their victory is undeniable, public, and impossible to ignore. Your enemies tried to mute you, but in the process, they ignited a fire that now burns brighter than ever before. As you continue on your journey, remember this. Your success, your rise, and your unshakable peace aren't just blessings. They are living proof of God's hand in your life. And while the world watches, the skeptics whisper and the haters scheme, your victory will speak for itself. You don't need to say a word because God's justice, His favor, and His timing are speaking volumes. No matter what anyone throws your way, remember that you are unstoppable. You were designed for greatness, and the world will soon have no choice but to witness the magnitude of that truth. So stand tall, keep shining, and let the universe see what happens when God's chosen ones refuse to be silenced. Your story is just getting started, and trust that the final chapter is one that will leave them all in awe. If you felt the power of these words and know deep down that God is moving in your life, then don't miss out on more of this. Subscribe to the channel now, and join a community of people who are walking in their purpose, standing in their power, and ready to witness the unshakable transformation that comes with divine favor. Hit that subscribe button, because what you've heard today is just the beginning. There's so much more coming your way, more truth, more power, and more unstoppable breakthroughs. Let's rise together. Stay tuned, stay blessed, and don't forget, your victory is just getting started. Remain blessed, the anointed ones.